You're live.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This meeting of the Town of Auburn School Committee is being conducted in person and is being recorded by the Auburn Cable Television. All are welcome to join us in person at 5 West Street. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Thank you. Will we please rise for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The vision of the Auburn Public Schools is to educate and prepare students for the opportunities and challenges of a changing world. Our commitment: we will create, maintain, and support an environment that fosters a sense of belonging for all students in our schools, respecting race, color, sex, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, homelessness, poverty, spoken language, and ability. Any citizens to comment? No. See none. No special recognitions?
No, ma'am.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of 6/4/25?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 6/4/2025.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. No student reps. Any update on student reps?
Yeah, it's going to start October 8th.
Like
whole
it
thing.
says? Okay,
Yep.
perfect. All
Yep.
right. Do we want, where's Glenn?
If we could go out of order this
Yep.
evening, Madam Chair, just to move on to the update on the Swiss parking lot, you do have a document in your packet on letterhead. We spoke about this at the last meeting, when we talked about the need for a transfer of some CIP funds that had been dedicated at Swanson Road initially, back a couple years ago for HVAC work. We have found that we do have some sinkholes, that, actually some fairly large ones, that have formed in the center of the parking lot at Swanson Road Intermediate School. And so we are moving forward. This outlines the process that, we have Mr. Gregoire here this evening if you have any questions. The process he's gone through to put this job out to bid. It is a very large job, potentially costing us, as this outlines, approximately $133,000 to have this item corrected. The transfer of the money in the CIP that you approved last time was for $150,000, giving us a little bit of a contingency should something go beyond that. I know that I did not do a great job of explaining exactly the problem with the parking lot, so I thought if anyone had any questions, Mr. Gregoire would be happy to be more clear about the actual issue that's there, but that's entirely up to you, and I didn't know if anyone had any further questions. I do know that when we spoke, there was a question about the handicap parking that's at Swanson Road on that end of the parking lot. That is not going to be impacted by this project. So will be coming in, you'll see in here, to put up a fence sometime later this month, and that fence is going to be far enough away from those handicap spots that those can still be used, and it will not impact the work that's being done.
Through the chair, can I ask, are we going to, during this, how many parking spots are we going to?
The rest of that parking lot. So
Okay.
we'll be keeping the handicap spots will be open, but the rest of that lot will be closed off for materials, equipment, and for the repair. They are saying about 2 weeks, which initially, I think we had thought longer than that.
That's quick.
Through the chair, we are going to send out like a notice to the parents and stuff so they understand what's going on.
Well, Dr. Lopez is already working on
Okay,
that, but
good.
we're waiting till we get a little bit closer
Yeah.
to make sure that we have the right timeline.
Yeah, perfect.
But no,
Okay.
and her staff is aware that will be coming at some point, and she's been communicating with them as well.
Awesome.
Through the chair, so will there still be a way to like turn around in that? Isn't it like a double, like a two-way? Like how will we get to the handicap spots?
You'll have to come up off Swanson, like
Okay.
toward the front,
Yep.
toward the front entrance, like how the buses pull in.
Yep.
You'll have to come there and pull into the handicap spots, because cars don't usually come in up the other driveway and
Right.
take a right, because the buses are going in that direction.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and that will all be communicated to families for access to those. I was relieved when I found out, when Glenn told me that we weren't gonna have to relocate those, because they're in a perfect spot for families who need them, so, but those should be all set.
Excellent. Any other questions?
And then just through the chair, it's 2 weeks from whenever we start
start.
They start, because first they have to deliver materials, correct? Is that, you have to come up to the mic, Glenn?
Good evening. The first phase, which right now we're scheduling for the weekend of September 27th, is to have the fence come in, which will block off the area of construction. Like we were saying, that the material needs to come in and be stored in that spot. On the 29th, that's when the material is going to come in. We communicated very clearly with all the bidders that are putting in for this project that no material can come in during the school drop-off and
Right,
pickup times. We want to stay away from those, so they're aware they may come in earlier in the morning. We're working with the town to be okay on that we do have trucks coming in and out, but the construction, the startup of the machines will not start until the appropriate time, which right now during the week looks to be somewhere around 7:30. Once the material comes in, they're basically clear to start the project, providing timing-wise how they close out their other work. They may start the 30th, they may start the 1st of October, but they're projecting right now to start the following week. Really, this is completely driven by weather, that they can't work in the mud. So that's really why the time is long. We've been very fortunate on that side for us that it's been very dry, so their projects are going along on time. If it maintains that, then our project will start on time as well. And then if the weather turns really bad for us, then we would be shut down for a day or two, depending on how the site looks and what we can do.
So through the chair, tentatively, you're looking at the beginning of November for this to be basically completed.
God, I hope not.
No,
I'm
mid-October.
hoping by the second week,
Mid-October.
end of the second week of
The
October.
1st of October, and even if we take 2 weeks from there, you're looking at mid-October.
So Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Well, mid-October, Roughly.
I don't know when it is this year. It's usually like
Roughly.
13. Okay.
roughly.
Okay.
That's our
As long as
timeline.
all goes well, which
All goes well.
seemingly all indications seem to tell us that it's encapsulated in this one area, that it's not spread to other areas, and we do still have a claim out with the insurance
Yes,
company.
we're still working with the insurance company. When excavation is complete and the tubing, the plastic, heavy gauge plastic, when that comes out, that's something they're going to want to take a look at just to see if there's any indications of product failure, whether it was damaged beforehand, whether it was damage, or whether just natural occurrence of what happened. So,
Yeah,
but they've been
hoping.
involved in the process. They're still involved in the process. There's no definitive answer from that until they can really see what's going on. Our initial excavation of the site to see, because we had no idea what was really happening other than, we're losing the asphalt. Everything looks to be done okay. There was no big rocks in the excavation that would be okay. They brought in the wrong fill. Everything that was in there was 3/4 inch to an inch, which is what the specifications were, compact and looked okay. There was nothing in there to say that the job wasn't done correctly. So that's why we say we look as though our timeline should be pretty tight, that we don't anticipate digging up any big rocks or anything like that. It looks as though the site was prepared and done properly.
Through the chair, what is that plastic tubing, what was that plastic tubing for?
When you build big parking lots, when you get big rainstorms, what the town wants to do is stop surface water from entering into the treatment plant, and they want to slow that water going down into the sewer line. So basically, all the water comes over to a manhole, drops down underground, and what it does is it kind of lets that water come up. The height of that tube is here, and the outlet is up here. So sort of like a septic system at your house, that water will sit in there and slowly disperse. So when you get a small rainstorm, that water will disperse. When you get a full-blown 1 inch an hour for 3 or 4 hours, that fills up pretty quick, and then that water will actually go out and hit our storm drain line. So the system is put in place to try to slow that down. That
Right.
all that water going into treatment plants just really kind of
So they are
plays
going to
on-
replace those.
yeah,
plastic
they're replacing
tubes.
those lines. Yeah.
So we will see if we are eligible for any kind of an insurance claim, so that's still out there.
Okay.
We just don't have any information. They're gonna come to the site when they dig it up to see what they see, so more to come on that.
So through the chair, is there a possibility once we open this area up that it's worse than we think? Or-
We're replacing everything we can see, which is probably just a little bit more than a third, not quite half of the system. All indications from the asphalt that's there where the cars are parking, there's no dimples, there's no falling off. Everything looks to be okay. It just seems really odd that it's just that part. We feel pretty comfortable saying we think we're okay.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you.
All in all.
You
Good to
may
go?
go on your merry way. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
You too, thank you.
All right, and we'll move into unfinished business.
So the first item is the second read of the fundraising accounts, and I will tell you that as we left the last time, we continue to raise more questions than answers. I think when we left, that JJF, the one filed JJF, seemed to be pretty straightforward for the committee. The one that still raised questions was JJE. You will see that what's in blue on, do you not have a color? Oh, you do have a color copy. Okay, I thought I was looking at black and white.
Oh, no,
Okay, okay.
I
Okay.
read the whole thing.
So what's in blue are changes since the last time. What's in red is exactly what was in red the last time. So we are taking out some of the things that we had kind of touched on the last time. However, in looking back into this again and going back to MASC, which is where we typically get our draft policies from, this policy was updated very recently. And the major update to this policy is on the back page in blue. Student and student groups are barred by state law and regulation from organizing raffles or games of chance, participating in sales of, or purchasing tickets of such games. So I, certainly, we can have the discussion tonight. I think we still need more time with some of this. That's going to be a big change for us. At some of our games, they'll do a 50-50 raffle, even at some of our concerts. Now, those things can still happen, but they can't be done by children or students, right? So if the Booster Club wants to do it, or the adults from Fame want to do it, sure. And I don't have a good answer yet from the town about whether or not, if those people are doing it, if they need a permit. I think Chairperson Harrington last time had said, right, AYFS, they have to get a permit for any kind of raffles that they have. So I don't have information on that yet. But this can still happen for those things. And I guess, when you think big picture, we don't want to be teaching children to gamble, because any kind of raffle or game of chance is a form of gambling. So I understand where this is coming from, but that is a new addition to this policy. So I'll answer any questions you have, but I think we're going to need a little bit more time with this. Oh, did you leave something?
I'm sorry. Can't leave without it.
Oh, is it over on the chair?
It's on the chair.
No problem.
Don't work without it. Thanks again.
Have a good night. Any questions?
So through the chair, so when I was just reading through this, I was trying to find like the beginning, middle, and end, right? So if I am the math teacher that's also the soccer coach, and I want my kids come to me and they say, we want to do whatever the fundraiser is.
Yep.
When this goes, is there an email that goes out to all of the faculty, coaching staff that says, this is the new policy, this is where the form to fill out is, this is how you fill it out, and then obviously in the policy what you can, the cans and can't do's, kind of a deal. And then does every, I guess, fundraiser have an account? So like football has an account, drama has an account, soccer has an account, field hockey has an
We
account.
don't have a separate bank account, but because we hold everything in one student activities account.
Okay.
But we're working, and I think at our next meeting, Jen and I are going to be talking about student activities accounts, because she's
Okay.
been doing a lot of work on that, but they are tracked separately.
Okay,
So, if one raises $1,500, the other one raises $1,000, they know that that's what they've raised. Then whatever they spend is also reflected in the accounts that we
yeah,
keep.
because it just said student accounts, but it didn't qualify it with the specifics. I just wanted to make sure that that was a,
Yeah, and it is a separate, it's a separate account, so it's not it's a school account, that's our student activities account. It's not, it doesn't go into like the town general fund,
Right, right.
right? It's a separate account established just for the handling of those funds.
yeah. And then who has access? Only faculty and coaches? Is it?
Jen, maybe you want to explain the process, so if someone
Yeah,
wants
I
to
think
spend some
I'm,
of that
I'm
money.
missing like one thing, and I was like, I think.
And that
it
is
may-
more student accounts versus
Right.
fundraising,
Okay.
student activities, but Jen
Yeah.
can kind of address how that works.
So, student activities, again, the high school, all of the schools have an account.
middle school and high school have sub-accounts in which there's clubs, classes,
Right.
and different things. So the clubs that would do any fundraising or classes that do any fundraising, all of that money would be deposited into the agency account.
Correct.
And then there is also the checking account there. So all of the funds are then tracked within the sub-accounts, within the spreadsheet. So there's a student activities treasurer at each of the buildings, which is one of the secretaries.
Right.
So then she shares, the advisor that is in charge of the club needs to keep track of what their club is doing and whatnot. She keeps track of the spreadsheet, and there is deposit slips that they need to complete, withdrawal slips that they need to complete for any expenses that they would want to do. It needs to be signed off on by the advisor. If the club has a treasurer, by the student treasurer, if there is one. It also needs to be signed off on by the principal, and then it comes through the business office for either to issue a check from the checking account or through the accounts payable warrant process. So there is quite a checks and balances along the way.
Yeah, no,
As
that
that.
part in the, like, I think it's like paragraph 4, that was very, but I guess it was, the advisor has to sign off it. So if the kids come, the advisor needs to make sure that they have the form to start the process for what they're fundraising for. And then you go, and the representative, maybe a teacher, coach, or a parent, all athletic booster sports, you know, I mean, it does say it. I just was
Yeah.
trying to figure out that first signature, I think is what it was, where I was like, what if I came up with a great idea? And I said, hey, Megan, the field hockey team, you should do this. Who do I tell to say, hey, this is a good, like, do you see what I mean?
Gotcha. So we
Like,
set up, so that's actually been part of our policy, just we've not been implementing it very well. So
Yeah.
we already now, Jen set up a Google form, and what happens is they fill it out, and then the principal gets notified that somebody has put in that they want to do a fundraiser. This is the purpose. They think they might raise, I mean, it's hard to know, right, about
Right.
this much money. And then the principal approves it, and then I approve it. So we have alerts set on those forms so that we get notified right away when someone requests that.
Yeah, I think that was
So actually, I
the
think
piece.
just in the
Okay.
last week, I think I've approved 7 or 8 of them, of requests to run fundraisers, and then they get the ball rolling from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Sorry,
that was
I
the-
misunderstood.
Yeah,
I
I said, like,
misunderstood.
I'm like
sorry.
trying to explain it, but I'm not understanding
Yeah,
it. I'm like,
Gotcha.
okay, we're in. I understand. I actually think it was written well, like with the edits and everything. So from my standpoint, I know that which one is it? JJF, I would feel comfortable through the chair making a vote on that. JJE, I think as long as we clearly define who's doing the raffle.
Yeah.
I think they're both, the edits that you guys made are right in line. It was much clearer, this paper, this one was much clearer than the last one.
Other
So-
questions? You had a
So
question
through the
over there.
chair, I still have a concern about about us putting Booster Club in here because they are a separate entity. So I do have a concern there. Has anyone reached out to the Booster Club and kind of chatted with them about that? Because I feel like,
Through the chair. So the reason that we had put that in place is there is companies, fundraising companies, that are reaching out directly to coaches and going through and doing those things. So we wanted to ensure that there was a handle on what the teams were doing, so that the athletic director had.
no, I totally understand that. What
on
I'm
that.
asking is like, how does the Booster Club feel? No, you're talking about separate companies. I'm talking about the Booster Club itself. That's a group of like parents, and how do they feel about now having to talk to the athletic director about doing fundraising?
Yeah, so I will tell you, we didn't speak with them, and the intention is not to limit what they want to do,
Just be aware of it.
just to be aware of it as a balance. It's not looking at it as, we're gonna tell you what you can do, but we need to,
But that's not the language in here. All
Okay.
athletic booster club
But
sports
that's the
fundraising
intent.
must be initially approved by the athletic director. So it's saying it must be. So
But I think the next sentence, to work with, to ensure the development of a fundraising calendar that is equitable to all sports and does not overburden. So that's the intent.
No, I see where you're coming from. It's just, if I read this, that's not how I would read it.
Yep.
And then on top of it, that's not our, like we make policy for the district, not for the booster club. So they could just be like, go to the birds, you know? So that's a concern. I think that maybe we should reach out to them and just say, like, can you read this portion of the policy? Are you okay with this? Because we just want to be notified, but we just want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable with this, because to me, I read this like, oh, I have to tell them. So does that mean that they're going to say no?
Maybe the better word is notified, but we will reach out to
Yeah.
them, and we will look at that.
And
Sure, I
then
think
the
that's a
other
good
thing
point.
that one thing I have a concern about is like the approximate amount to be raised. Are you looking for how much they want to make or how much they think they're going to make? Because to me, I could do a fundraiser and be like, I want to raise $1,000, but I could raise 10 or I could raise 5. So I just don't, I don't even think that's really important. Like just knowing that, I'm fine with knowing the dates. You know, I know, just speaking from own experience, I have to, if my club does a fundraiser, I have to put down the club name, the dates that it's running, who the like person is, me, and then I have to put in like what the fundraiser is, and then what it's going towards.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with that. But if they ask me how much, I'd be like, like if I've never done it before, I have no idea. So some years I raise 500, other years I raise 2,000. So like, I don't know if that's necessarily significant, because, you know, you already know where it's planning on going. So why does the amount matter?
I think just curiosity, honestly, and just to have a ballpark, if they're,
Yeah.
like, I think the scope of what they're trying to raise should fit the purpose of what they're identifying, I guess. But I'm not, again, if there's money left over, I'm not saying, well, you can't keep it, because
Yeah.
you said you were gonna raise $1,000 and you raised $1,500. But we can certainly consider that.
And then the only other thing that I still kind of have an issue with is the, on the second page, which fundraiser activities may not involve competition among students. Students may not be rewarded with additional recess, snacks, activities, or any type of prize for having raised a larger amounts of food funds or reaching fundraising goals. I mean, I just have a problem with that whole, because if you're raising money, like the kids at Swiss do like the run, you know, sometimes if you're raising money, like I know, I can only speak from my own experience, but in my own school, like sometimes the kids that win for, you know, raising the most, their homeroom might get like a homework pass.
Yep.
So like I personally, I just want to know the intent behind that, because I feel like we're going to cut off things like, especially at the high school, you know, like, I feel like we're doing this, like giving a kid a T-shirt for, you know, raising the most and being part of the fun run. Like, then based on that, we can't do that. And I don't think it's a bad thing to promote fundraising. I think I don't know, I kind of feel like it promotes like a healthy, like, not everyone gets an award.
Through the chair, and speaking with an advisor, they kind of had the same idea, more so with the group activities. In particular, I guess they have communities at the high school, so each community will raise money for their class or whatnot, and this, if you raise the most, you get a prize. And I think it's kind of similar, everybody doesn't get a prize. That's sometimes how things go. I think about is it the fun run at Swiss or whatever?
Or-
My kids
yeah.
are never going to win that, but I think it's a great thing that they do, and the 20 most fast kids get a T-shirt, and I think that's an okay thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And in this case, especially at the high school, what I'm hearing is that it does encourage kids to work together. It's encouraging community.
Yeah, like an extra recess to me is
I
not
just have a
bad
clarifying
thing.
question. So this says students. I guess when I read this, I'm thinking individual students may not be rewarded. What you're saying is if this allows groups of students to get a reward, you would want, let me say this properly. You're in support of groups of students, so a class or
Yeah.
a grade level, of getting some kind of a reward because as a total, they raise so
Yes.
much.
Yep.
I think the intent of this is about a competition between individual
So
students.
then I would say individual student.
Okay.
Because that's
that, I
unclear,
think,
because
is
students to me
where
is plural.
it gets to the,
Yeah.
it gets to an equity issue, right?
Oh, yeah.
I may not have the means or the opportunity to even sell anything because, for whatever reason. And so I don't want to be made to feel badly about that, right?
I would
But if
change-
I'm rewarded because as a whole, my class did the best that they could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know.
I would just change it to fundraising activities may not involve competition among individual students. Individual students may not be rewarded with additional recess snacks, activities, or any type of prize for having raised larger amounts of funds or reaching fundraising goal. Groups of student, maybe just say like groups of students is allowed. Because if my daughter's fourth grade class raises the most money, then like getting an extra recess is like, hey guys, you all did great. Even if Joe in the class raised $1 and my daughter raised 200, it shouldn't matter. And they already do that at Swiss, they already do it at PAC. you know.
PTO does that.
Yeah, PTO, but I mean, but what this is saying is no.
Well, that's my other slight concern, and I don't know how to get around that. I know that PTO does a lot, and they provide us with a lot, and I think it's great. But I'm thinking back to the magazine drives that they did, where kids could win flashing lights, and they had all the kids come to the auditorium and tell them to put their stuff on social media. So even though that's not part of the school, it's happening within the school. How are we going to differentiate that to our community so that they know that this is happening within school things, but hey, your kindergartner could come down, and if that's even still happening, because I don't want to, on the other side, I don't want to take that away. It pays for all of our field trips, it pays for all of our buses.
PTO does it by the class or the grade, depending on what it is. You know what I mean? So it's the first grade at Bryn Mawr. It's, Mrs. Fermanic's kindergarten class.
It's by the class, yes, but I'm just saying, how do we differentiate that? I don't even know if they still do the magazine thing that they used to do, but I just know that back then, when they did it, if you sold $100, you got a light up, I remember that ring or something. I don't know what it was. I never sold $100. So, yes, that's not part of the school. It's very important. It's their best fundraiser that they did at the time, at least. But how can we say that that's okay and this isn't? I have a little struggle with that personally.
So again, as I said, I think we definitely have more work to do on this, so let's see what we can find out in that regard and
Okay.
see how they're approaching that.
But on top of the gambling, which also stinks, but it's a state law, so I think we can't be gambling with children, so that's definitely important.
And through the chair, I like how Dr. Chamberlain explained it, like adults can do it, but not the students. And I think that's the right way to handle it. Like, if the teachers want to be the ones in charge of the 50-50 raffle, like, then they should be the ones handling the money and things like that. And so I think that's just a clear way, like, you're under the age of 18, you can't do this.
But they
Or
also
20.
can't buy them, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Could they buy them before?
So I don't know about a 50-50, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I suspect when we do that basket raffle, which is a Rockets to Rockets thing, would I imagine that some kids bought tickets to win a basket? I
Yeah.
would imagine they did. I would imagine
Yeah.
they did. I can't say for sure, but I would imagine they did.
All right, well, that's the end of that.
Yep. Through the chair, the stuff that comes through the PTO, though, is marked. It doesn't say this is Auburn Elementary School or this is Auburn Middle School. It says PTO supporting your children's and whatever it is.
Which is great, and I love
But
that.
it's
just-
all over the flyer, so they know that it's not.
Yeah.
But they're pulling them down out of class during class hours to do it, which is important. I'm just, if we're gonna put all the restrictions, I don't want to take away from PTO at all, so I don't know how to fix it, I guess. You know what I mean?
Let's get more information.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
get more
PTO and
information.
Booster is a different entity, and we gotta write it the right way so that they can do them and then still kinda
Exactly.
heads up.
They do great things.
Through the chair, just a clarifying point, because you mentioned it, Dr. Chamberlain, but is our plan to have people register their fundraisers in a Google form? Is that what the plan is? It's not gonna be on paper, it's just gonna be a Google form that they could put it in? Okay,
Which will be nice and quick and
Yes.
easy. It's not like
Yeah.
this big, long
And
form. I
it's-
think
it's
that's
simple.
much better, yeah.
perfect.
And we have
I
a-
just wanna make sure that it's quick and easy, teachers
Yep.
don't have to like now spend hours finding all this information. They can
I
just put it in.
honestly believe that this is the quickest way, so this should have been being done all along, quite frankly, that's been in the policy. And we have alerts set up on the account, so, on the form. So as soon as somebody enters something, we get notified, so
Okay.
that it's not sitting there.
Through the chair, which I guess is me tonight, but.
It is.
One more question.
me.
Through me. For this training, the annual training, is that going to be a student? Is that going to be an adult? And if it's an adult, do they go every single year? I'm thinking of like the bloodborne pathogen thing I do every single year that's the same. Is it going to be, is it something that needs to be annual if somebody's done it already 3 times or whatnot?
Mrs. Stanek, I'll let you answer that.
It needs to be annually, because it's financially, so this, our school committee, I apologize, our student activities, policies and procedures, which are in line with most other districts, it is an annual training. And it is, I have to say, it is extremely important that they understand and review the policies on an annual basis. So I've already conducted it at the middle school and the high school for this year. They do know that the fundraising policy was up to be revised, but
Okay.
it is something that they need to do on an annual basis.
And how long's the training?
Depends on how many questions they ask. So this year, it was, one building was a half an hour and the other building it was an hour.
Okay, so not too long. Okay.
But
And
it's
I
for
think
fis-
that, like anything, the more regular it becomes, the quicker it becomes.
Yeah, right. If you've
You
heard
know
it
what I
a
mean?
thousand
Once you get
times.
some people who have done it, then it's not gonna be what it
Start
is.
kicking each other. No more questions.
Yeah, yeah, we already know how to do this.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Oh, new superintendent search, that's me. So we had
That's
our
you.
first meeting, just a meet and greet, so we could sign some confidentiality things, and go over. It seems like a very great group of people who want to find a wonderful superintendent for Auburn. Just a timeline, the application will be up until October 31st, at which point, all of the applicants will be able to be reviewed by the team. We're then going to meet as a committee. I don't have the date in front of me, but soon after that to decide who will bring forward for the first interview. That interview, although it is going to be conducted under open meeting laws, will be in executive session because we don't want people not knowing, not applying. So that will be under executive session. All of the minutes for that meeting, we're not going to put names of the people so that anybody who applies for the district, their other district will not know. From there, we'll have those interviews. I'm hoping after that first set of interviews, we can bring 2 to 3 maybe people forward to school committee. On the in-between time, between that, it would be great to have them meet the schools, have some focus groups, so we can really get a good idea of what the community wants. We already have a number of applicants who have applied, so people like us. Let's
I
see.
like us.
I like us. Yep,
I mean, it's obviously because of us.
obviously. But it's looking good.
Great.
Looking good. All right, new business.
Okay, so guess what? We're already talking about budget for FY '27. So at the next meeting, Mrs. Stanek's going to provide you with the budget timeline, and we'll share all the documents and all of that. But at this time of year, I'd like to just put it out to the committee, just as a discussion, with what you would like us to keep as budget priorities as we begin this process, and what we should be keeping at the forefront of our thinking. Last year, I know, class size, social emotional learning, but I wonder if any of you have any input to us as we begin this process.
I think class size is always
Yep.
important.
The chair, class size. Safety's always a big one for me. And obviously, the emotional support is a huge one for me.
Class size, big one. But also I think that I'd like to try to maintain at our current level. So like staffing, we don't want to go down in staffing. We want to try to maintain where we're at, especially since we have the new housing development coming in. So just being aware of our staffing and try not to lose too many people.
Or anyone.
I will
Or
share-
anyone, yeah, or anyone.
Yeah, I will share preliminary discussions with the town, as they always are. They're never uplifting when we meet with the town to talk about the budget, even though they are very supportive, so I don't want to confuse that issue. But indications are they're going to want us to come in at a pretty tight number, so
Shoot for the moon.
we will do our best. So, just putting that out there.
Through the chair, are we short anybody starting the school year off? Were we missing?
We have not been able to hire a special education teacher at the high school. We had someone leave at the end of last year. So at this point, we had one last hope of an application, and they decided not to take the position. We are going to have to contract out until we can hire someone. But other than that, for professional staff, we've been fully staffed.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure. I'm
So is that like agency? We'll have to use agency for
Yes.
that? Okay.
Which is expensive. So we're gonna keep trying to, we're going with someone that we have the potential that if they have someone, we can move to hire. And then they get a certain percentage of whatever the salary is.
Okay.
So we're hoping that we can get someone for it fairly quickly. We had a great candidate, it just didn't work out. We thought we were gonna be able to get it, but it didn't work out. That's a special education teacher at the high school is one of those very difficult positions to fill. So I'm sure we will, and where staff is chipping in and we're working around things to get things done right now. But Carrie Cox, our new Director of Pupil Services, is working on the contract for the agency.
Yes. Great. MASC conference.
Just letting everyone know that Chairperson Harrington, Vice Chair Dr. McCrillis, Member Brooke Wren, and Sam Rayfield will attend the three-day MASC conference down at the Cape on November 12th, 13th, and 14th. And so I'm excited to go. I hope you are too. I hope you got a reminder about where you're staying from someone, right? We need to make those reservations, so, yes, just letting folks know that we'll be attending that. It's not on my birthday this year, so that's a good thing, too.
All right, bus transportation.
Bus transportation continues to be monitored closely. We've been collecting counts for the number of students on each bus directly from the bus driver each day to make sure that what we believe for numbers of kids on buses is exactly what's on buses. We continue to have some challenges with our special education busing. This is a typical thing at the start of year. It takes us a little while. Some kids have a hard time getting on the bus, and routes take longer at the beginning of the year as kids acclimate back to school. But we are working on that. We've been working with families as well, so that they know that we understand that all of our kids need to get to school on time, and we're doing our best to make that happen. On a lighter note, I had to share with you the coloring book that our school resource officers created. I didn't bring, because I was late getting to the meeting, the stickers.
The stickers are the best.
The stickers are the best. So Officer McCarthy used AI and an image of himself to make a caricature on a sticker of himself with a statement at the bottom that says, "Make good choices."
Oh, cute.
And he gives those out to kids, and they have been a hot commodity.
They are.
I wanted to get one for each of you, and I didn't. But this coloring book is also very specifically Auburn-esque, right? It has the picture of some of the town buildings, it has their robot. I just thought it was the cutest thing. They have Visa and the police cars, so they'll be giving these out with, when they go to some of the schools for kids. So I just thought it was the cutest thing for them to do, so I had to share that with you. But we appreciate our SROs and all the work that they do for our schools, so.
Through the chair, can Biza come to a school committee meeting one day?
I don't know, maybe.
That'd be fun.
This is cute.
Lisa's
That's a
cute.
different handler. Those aren't our SRO guys, but we can certainly see if their friend will
Or-
bring them along.
Or maybe the therapy dogs that I hear so much about. This is really not fair.
All right, Mr. Keller, teaching and learning.
Yeah, so last time we met, I talked a little bit about our summer programs for students as well as the summer curriculum work that teachers did. I wanted to update you on our first 2 professional development days on the 25th and 26th. You've heard me talk a lot in the past year about the work that we've done with empowering writers. We started that program in grades K through 5 all of last year with professional development. We're continuing our professional development with those grade levels this year, and we also started last year with 6th through 8th grade in ELA Science and Social Studies, and they had their second half of the professional development on the 25th. And it's really, I'm very excited because a lot of districts, a lot of schools just focus on ELA, and we have talked extensively about writing is not just something that happens in English class. And so bringing in science and social studies and bringing those people, those teachers on board with our writing initiative, I think is going to prove very worthwhile. So they had professional development on the 25th, as I mentioned. And a couple, some of the big points that they talked about there in terms of narrative is, looking at character, point of view, setting, plot, motivation. The way Empowering Writers sets itself up is that we look at literature that we're currently reading, whether that be an article in science or social studies or a short story or an informational piece in English class. We look at that and we talk about, let's say, if we're talking about entertaining beginnings or an introduction. So we, as a teacher, we talk about what that introduction is, and then we, as a teacher, then after we've done that and talked about that process and author's point of view, we then try and become an author in front of the students. And so we begin writing an entertaining beginning for something that we're writing, and we workshop that and ask questions, and the class participates and discusses. And then the next phase of that is guided practice. So students then have an opportunity to try that out on their own. And then finally, applying that in a larger writing piece. So it is a very very explicit skill-driven process, and that's one of the things that many teachers have struggled with. In writing, it always seems like this really big thing, and how do I help students? And so Empowering Writers really breaks it down into very skill-specific. So that was exciting, and we got great feedback from teachers. Empowering Writers has been outstanding. So over the course of last year, and again, just yesterday, actually, we did a Zoom with a couple of the trainers with some issues, some things that teachers were struggling with. And so this was some of the opening sessions that we had. As you also are well aware, we brought out a new K through 8 math textbook this for the current year, iReady. And so our K through 8 math teachers were engaged in preparing for launch, where they talked about meaningful mathematical discourse. So it's this program, and Dr. Chamberlain and I had the opportunity to see it yesterday in action. It is not just teacher at the front of the room throwing information at the kids and the kids writing down notes and then doing it the way that the teacher says. There's multiple ways, and that's one of the beauties of iReady, and one of the things that attracted us to it is students can look at the different approaches that they can take to a problem and then talk about why they chose that approach and how they went about doing it. So it's a lot of student-led discourse in the classroom, and so that's somewhat some of the professional development was try, discuss, and connect, and we continue to have professional development throughout the year as we move forward with iReady. And that's the grades 2 through 5 up in the top left, and middle school teachers at the bottom. And just like I mentioned with Empowering Writers, iReady continues to support us and has been great. We had an afternoon session today with our accelerated math teachers and iReady as they are working through understanding how that program works. So. And then elsewhere, we had a lot of things happening throughout the district, a lot of grade level meetings, team meetings, safety team meetings. The nurses presented to staff AED, EpiPen, bloodborne pathogens, as Dr. McCrillis mentioned earlier as well. You are well aware that we rolled out Parent Square, and so training for all of our staff in Parent Square, mandated training. Reviewing Alice, our elementary schools had open, including our preschool had open house, and then restorative practices continues to be a major initiative in our schools. And we actually this past summer, so we've been working with Suffolk University, who for the past 3 summers have trained staff in Tier 1 restorative practices. So this past summer, we had 2 teachers, Jeff Berg and Ariella Emanuel, become trained in leading that program. So they are going to be our in-house trainers moving forward with that. So Suffolk is supporting us in that regard. So they actually went through 2 Tier 1 trainings this summer. The first was kind of observing and what they call kind of a third wheel, and then the second time with Tier 1, they took some leadership roles in teaching the teachers. So next summer, they'll have the opportunity to just lead it themselves. So we're very excited to be able to move forward with that. And then the last thing I'll say is it was wonderful on our opening on the 26th when everybody was here. The thing that's not up there is Dr. Chamberlain was able to give her, unfortunately for all of us, I think her last welcome to staff. But she did a wonderful job as always. But sad to think about it being her last one.
Last first day.
Yes. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, business and financials.
All right, I've provided you a year-to-date budget report of the FY '26 school year dated September 11th, 2025 for your review. And I have now, as I shared last meeting, I have a new report for you. And I prepared the first of my quarterly reports for you. Mr. Kelly's gonna bring that up for us. In a little bit, but after my annual MASBO conference and following the best practices of MASC, I will be sharing quarterly reports. And additionally, I will seek your approval for budget transfers on a quarterly basis. We had been doing all of this every 2 weeks, every time we met, and it is very unusual and very cumbersome for that to be happening. So MASC best practice and general law is quarterly reports. I can still provide a year-to-date budget report each time if you so choose, because that's a quick and easy. But I wanted to be a little bit more informative so that we can have more conversation around the budget process. So just for your information, quarter 1 is July to September for us. So this is the quarter 1 report. So these are our September comparisons, and I've given you the comparisons from FY26 to FY25 to FY26. So you can see the difference and the percent change. Quarter 2 is October to December, so I will bring a report in December, and then quarter 3 is January to March. And then quarter 4 is April to June. That gets a little tricky because that's when I have to close the year out. So typically, like we did the first meeting for the school year, I will share all of that information with you. Are there any questions before I review the report with you? All right. So as you know, the original appropriation increased 3.8% in FY26 for us. Despite the increase, our year-to-date expenditures are lower at this point in the year, and that's for the following reasons. Due to our uncertainty of our out-of-district transportation and tuition. We've not encumbered all of those expenses at this time, which we also offset with grants as well as circuit breaker funds. So we're working on that. Additionally, there are still some open support positions that administrators are working on filling. And you will see that the increase in encumbrances represents the 3% increase for most salary positions. It's also increase of the cost of supplies. So shipping and handling, the tariffs, and all of those things are hitting the budget. So as a result, the available budget balance is significantly higher right now in FY26 compared to FY25 at this time. However, please know that those out-of-district transportation and tuition costs will decrease that available budget significantly. And as well as the cost of substitutes, which has just begun with that. So that's not an encumbered thing. That happens as staff is out. And then I did list out here the encumbrances, which they include at this time. It includes the majority of the salaries, the supplies, our technology expenses, which include our contracts, athletic and fine arts expenses, but not all of our coaching salaries or those at this point. Transportation, facilities contracts, our utilities, our building repairs and improvements, and our legal services. And those are the costs that we know and we're able to project. And then just show you a little bit different in the pie graph. The year-to-date, what has been expended. Our orange are encumbrances, what we are planning on spending, and then the green is our available budget. Again, it is higher at this time, but that will increase significantly soon enough, once all the salaries are settled. And the transportation, those out-of-district transportation, we've had some issues with Assabet Valley, and so we're working on doing that because of van pool and cabs for kids, and we're working on out all of those situations. I hope you find that this report is helpful, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions you may have. And I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I love the pie chart. I like
Agree.
the colors.
Yeah, I like it.
Makes it easy
I
to
can
read.
understand it.
And would you like me to continue with the year-to-date budget report every 2 weeks?
I think I'd rather wait until Jessie gets back before we make that decision,
Certainly.
just to make sure that she has a say in it.
Absolutely. All right, and then I just have a list of budget transfers dated September 11th, 2025, between the same series for which I'm seeking your approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the list of transfers dated September 11th, 2025, as presented by the business manager.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and we do need executive session.
We do, yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion in pursuant with MGL C30A 21A2 to adjourn into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. We will not return to open session.
I'll second.
All right, roll call vote. Steph?
Aye. Yes, love this.
Sam?
Here, yes, whatever.
Yes.
It's a vote. Have a good night, everyone.